Hello everybody, I'm going to go through today the results of my third round of sugar tank tests, and I'm going to give you a quick overview, show you some of the pictures, and try to keep it nice and short. The methodology is much the same as it was last time. I used a 2-foot tank, about 11¼ gallons of room temperature water, 6 pounds of sugar total at the time the pictures were taken, and I took pictures before, after, and while I poured the sugar. And I tested the density gradient with a laser every single time that I took photos, and you'll see one of the examples of the testing with the laser at the end. So pretty much the same thing that we've been working on, and these are the results that I presented on Ranty's, with a couple of extra photos that I did not include when I presented it then. So let's get into the first video here. And this just shows the setup in the tank. You can see to the left there's these 3 targets, and you'll see an overview in a minute. There's a car in the middle with a target, and there's a target on the right, and then along the left or the bottom in the top view you'll see a orange track that mimics, say, a bridge going from the front of the view to the back of the view. There you can see the car. On the bottom of the tank I've got pebbles just to simulate a water-like surface or uneven ground. And there's a real good bird's eye view of it. Those blue things on the back of that orange plate are just weights because things floated. And then here's a view without any sugar in it, and this is going to transform. This is with 6 pounds of sugar, so you can see quite the dramatic difference in certain portions of the photos. And if you watch very carefully at the center, you'll see the car lift up, you'll see the bottom of everything lift up, you'll see the bridge lift up, and the tops stay very stable. And you can see in this comparison, these lines that go across the picture are at each color divide of the targets in the back. And on the right you can see that quite a few missing. If you look at the bottom orange line, that's the bottom of the orange base for the 3 targets. And there are 1, 2, 3 lines missing in the right hand picture. You can see the bridge kind of disappears off into the background. So interesting stuff. Here's another view of the blink test here. I changed the color on the sugar photo in this one just so you could more clearly see the back of the tank. Kind of took a lot of the fog out of it. Here's a side by side with the color adjusted picture. And you can see that everything's essentially been lifted up, the bottom of everything, compressed an extreme amount at the bottom, while the top has been held constant. Here's a view of the 3 targets on the right side, and you can see I have outlined in black the areas that are missing from the back 2 targets. If you look at the top on each side, they remain relatively constant. Look at the red parts on the top, look at the next part on the white, and then it starts to really compress. And what this is just a view, a handheld camera, and I'm going up and down and simulating, looking at it from different vantage points. And you can see at one point as the camera goes down how dramatically the bottoms of these objects rise up and compress while the tops remain relatively constant. If you watch the car in the middle, it gets very thin. Watch the bridge to the left too, and you'll see some movement in its shape and its apparent height, the back of it. You can see those targets in the back really compress quite a bit, especially the one on the right. It's almost as if they look like they sink into the ground. Here we'll go from the top to the bottom and just take another look at how that takes place. And here's a close-up view of the bridge on the left, and you can see how that's curved. If you look at the before pictures, it was pretty straight. Here's another one that focuses on the three in the background. And I've slowed it down here just so we can take a good long look at what's happening with those targets in the back and the bridge on the left. The bridge on the left starts to disappear from the back as if it's sinking into the background. Not sinking, but kind of disappearing into the background, into a fog. Here's slowed down quite a bit. You can see the bottom of those objects just kind of compress up. The car is very low profile. And here's a very close-up view of the bridge from that extreme angle. You can barely make out the targets in the back, and the car is very thin compared to the apparent horizon of the fish tank. Here's just a couple of videos with the laser to show you that there is a gradient. You'll be able to clearly see it. This is a little higher in the tank. Here's lower down. You can see that towards the base of that tank, that laser curves down pretty dramatically. And here's handheld from the top to the bottom. You'll notice that the laser starts to curl up if you come with the light from the top. It gets more dramatic as you go lower in the tank, and then if you take it from a different angle, you'll see how it arcs down if you're coming from the bottom. So there is definitely a density gradient that is impacting what we see. And I stuck this video in because there's some interesting things that happened right after the third sugar pour. This is sped up pretty dramatically, so it's probably over the course of about 5 minutes. But if you watch, you'll see all kind of phenomena happening in the bottom of the fish tank, waving back and forth, changing the shape and appearance of objects in the background, including the car. And here we're focusing in on one particular portion of it. If you watch that car and the bridge on the left, you'll see it almost appear to disappear at points and change its shape pretty dramatically. Here's a still image of that same thing. You can see the car is almost completely obscured. Here's a close-up of that obscured car. So that motion of the density and the way the light went through it almost completely hit the car. Alright, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks, everyone.